I'm going to try another one of these tests. It says the median time to complete is about 2.5 minutes. I'm sure I'll manage to take longer by discussing it out loud. This is called the Dark Triad. I've heard of it. I don't know much about it. I'm ironically doing this in daylight. I think the Triads look at the Dark Triad and think, you give us a bad name. We've got, it's not wise to tell your secrets. I'd say by definition, the intent of a secret is something you don't tell. And if you hold a secret and you define something as a secret, then it's not wise to tell it. I think it's not wise to hold secrets. I'm very much in favor of open honesty, full communication. Maybe radical honesty, but I don't think of it as radical. I just happen to be radical and honest. And yet I agree it's not wise to tell your secrets. I think it's trying to get me from a slightly different angle, so I'm only clicking slightly agree because I think what I think isn't what it wants to interpret from an agree. A lot of second guessing just in the first question. People see me as a natural leader. Now that's not asking for the objective truth of how people see me, but my interpretation of how people see me. And no, I don't understand that to be part of my persona. I'm between slightly and strongly disagree. Maybe because this disagree doesn't actually say the word strongly, I'm just going to click disagree. I like to get revenge on authorities. I'm not that much into revenge. I'm actually way too nice for this kind of quiz, but we'll find out at the end. But I don't believe in authority, so I definitely believe in undermining authority, and I'd say the very presence of authority kind of necessitates revenge, not the word I'd use. I'm going to allow myself a neutral on this because I think the extent to which I don't respect authority is balanced by my disinterest in retribution. I like to use clever manipulation to get my way. Well, if it means of people, I strongly dislike that. If it means of systems, I somewhat do, scamming the system, that's what systems are there for. I think I feel that the question is asked in a social way, and I really dislike that. Communicating dishonestly, trying to influence people, anything other than transparency, I strongly disagree with. I hate being the center of attention. I'm a YouTuber. I'm a solo performer. I'm kind of booming and charismatic, but I dislike leading and being the center of attention. I think the attention I appreciate has an outsider status that will be quite separate from the center. I agree with this, but I think I appreciate some attention. I don't much appreciate a group dynamic or being perceived by multiple people at one time. I'm somewhere between slightly agree and agree, and I think the amount of self-involved work I've published online takes it down to slightly. I avoid dangerous situations. That's a difficult one to weigh up with chronic pain, suicidality. I think I am quite risk-averse, though. Whatever it takes, you must get the important people on your side. What the hell? I reflexively dislike that. The important people. Now, there's multiple constructs in this that I fully reject. Whatever it takes, fuck off. Many group activities tend to be dull without me. Well, I've not been there, have I? I think many group activities are dull, and people spend the time when I'm not there asking when I'll be there. Nah, I have no way of perceiving this. I know I bring some value and some people appreciate me, but I'm sure they get on fine without, and I do hope I'm removable. Some of these concepts just are not in my instincts at all, and I guess they are one of the triad. Revenge again. No, I don't have this retributive instinct. Avoid direct conflict with others because they may be useful in the future. I mean, I don't specifically seek out conflict, but I definitely don't approach people based on whether they'd be useful in the future. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of conflict, it's kind of there for the sake of resolution. So disagree. I know that I'm special because everyone keeps telling me so. Now, I'm quite used to getting superlative praise from people with disorganized attachment issues, which love bum or whatever. I know that people consider me special, and I know that among humanity, among all living beings, each individual is equally special. and each might get their own version of this attention. I don't know if I'm a disagree or neutral here, so slightly disagree. People often say I'm out of control. No, I think and hope that I'm renowned for my calm. I mean, honestly, I'm a fucking wreck, but I'm calm about it. I don't act out, I'm quite in control, and I'd like to say that's what people appreciate about me. It's wise to keep track of information that you can use against people later. I think I have a good informational memory, but no instinct to use data against people later. I'm honestly incredulous to some of these questions, and maybe they correlate with one of these three traits. I like to get acquainted with important people. I'm not very socially oriented in general, but I don't seek status like that. I think some people I'm acquainted with have levels of contextual importance in some regard, but that's not why I'm acquainted with them, and I'm not climbing any status ladder there. I disagree, but it's not like I specifically dislike to get acquainted with people because they're considered important. That would be a strange prejudice to have. So I think that slightly disagree, even though what it's asking me, what it means to ask me is something I disagree with slightly. It's true that I can be mean to others. Bad question writing, that should just say I can be mean to others. I think if we disregard the way that autistic people get interpreted as rude when we're so fucking polite. No, I'm not aware of a mean streak, and if I noticed anything mean in my behavior, I would be frantically trying to adjust and correct that. I think if you reel it back all the way to childhood, there's more than zero cruelty there. But as an adult, I'm not aware of ways that I've chosen to hurt others. And I think so constantly my motive is the inverse of this, that I think I have the right to click disagree. You should wait for the right time to get back at people. That's one of those loaded questions. That's like, when did you stop murdering your wife or whatever? I think I reject the construct outright. I mean, I respect not getting back at people who are in dire circumstances and the patience that can be involved in resolution and reparation. So I agree about waiting for that, but still the clause is to get back at people, and no. I think the very way I'm processing this stuff and using words such as resolution shows how little this quiz suits me. I don't know if this is a goody two-shoes triad. I feel embarrassed if someone compliments me. I mostly just feel offended. Nah, I had the very low self-esteem that you can obviously interpret in me, and after decades eventually managed to have some self-awareness of my good traits. I think it's kind of an inherently embarrassing experience, so it's more than zero, but generally disagree. People who mess with me always regret it. Oh no. I mean, people who mess with me and have a conscience might regret it because I'm lovely and they messed with me. But no, you're kind of overestimating people's self-awareness there, and I'm definitely not motivated to make them regret it. There are things you should hide from other people because they don't need to know. Back to the secrets here. I'm almost incapable of lying. In particular circumstances, I can consider it a bit of a responsibility to lie, so maybe I covered this in the video about this kind of stuff, but I struggle to answer the inquiry, how are you, because I'm not well at all. But I work serving the public. In that context, it's more professional to lie and minimize this phatic interaction. I feel the guilt of lying, but at least I didn't get uncomfortably intimate. I mean, in some examples I have just been honest. I think I generally disagree with this construct, but if there's ever more than zero things that you should hide from other people, then it deserves a point, and it kind of deserves a point above neutral. I think in its intended grammar, I'm thereby calling it slightly disagree. So examples I'm trying to think of, people with particular outlooks that might not tolerate certain things, truths that would be more hurtful to someone, and also, yeah, things that people don't need to know when there's just like gossipy busybodies. Ooh, I just made a negative judgment of humans. I have been compared to famous people. I'm a performer, I'm gonna get this. I'm also a long-haired guy and long-faced when I was in shape. And there's a certain subclass of rock stars that ostensibly resembles me. I have never gotten into trouble with the law. I've gotten away with it. Make sure your plans benefit you, not others. I don't do that. It's probably good advice, though. Only you yourself are going to be maximally aware of your needs and what would benefit you. But I'm so much into benefiting others that anything above disagree would suggest a hostility to others, and I'm clicking disagree. I am an average person. I don't think of myself as exceptional, but everyone else does. I think in average society, a lot of average people partake in social constructs more than I do. And I really struggle to perform as an average person. I think I communicate clearly and pragmatically, and I consider myself quite easy to understand. But from average ways, that's a no. Oh, here we go. No, I consider this almost impossible. Demisexual is the definition there. I've had sexual relationships and they involved knowing someone intimately, knowing them in the biblical sense. And yeah, if I hardly know someone, well, there won't be any hardness. Most people can be manipulated. Look at voting. Yeah, I believe most people can be manipulated. I believe I can be manipulated. This seems objectively, scientifically true to me. Think how many religious people there are. Fake news, seduction, scams. Though I understand this test is generally asking about like interpersonal relationships. From my point of view, this statement here is absolutely true. I insist on getting the respect I deserve. Nah, I grovel for a morsel of respect, which is almost the same act, but I am indignant because I feel my dignity has been undermined and respect can be lacking, but insisting wouldn't make it happen, would be counterintuitive. I think my complex about this puts it above the full disagree, but generally disagree. I'll say anything to get what I want. No, I generally don't lie. Disclaimer is what I said earlier. I'm not motivated to manipulate people. This is very separate from my character. We're done. Tiny button here says get results. I'm not surprised about this. I don't think there's much Machiavellianism or psychopathy in me. Of the three, narcissism is the closest to describing me because I'm so self-involved. I'm not on this graph, am I? It's just given me a number and I have to plot myself. It looks like 1 is the literal minimum, so that was a 1 to 5 clicky quiz, so there weren't any zeros. So in Taskmaster points, 3 would be the middle. And if this were an episode of Taskmaster, I'd not be doing very well because I've basically got 2 plus 3 plus just short of 2 points. I think I'll take the compliment of this. I don't associate myself with evil, negative, manipulative traits. I think I'm tedious, but I generally mean well, and if I noticed any of these traits in myself, I'd endeavor to work on it. Lowering them, I mean. Even here from these results and from considering these questions, it makes me notice potential negative traits in myself to work on. And that's really the only function of this shit, so if you liked this video, just as planned,